What if I told you that the very thing you're doing right now, this searching, this seeking, this desperate hunt for enlightenment, is the only thing preventing you from waking up? You see, there's a secret that every awakened being knows but can never quite explain. It's like trying to describe the color blue to someone who's been blind from birth. The secret is this: everyone who seeks awakening is doomed to fail. Not some people, not most people, everyone. And yet, and here's where it gets deliciously paradoxical, the only people who ever wake up are those who sought it with everything they had. So we have a problem, don't we? A magnificent, maddening riddle that's been driving seekers insane for thousands of years. And today, I'm going to show you why. Now, let me tell you about the most exquisite joke the universe has ever played. It's so funny that when you finally get it, you might cry instead of laugh. Picture this. You wake up one morning and decide you've lost your head. Absolutely convinced. So you start searching everywhere, under the bed, in the closet, asking everyone you meet, "Have you seen my head?" People look at you strangely because, well, you're using your head to look for your head. You're speaking with the mouth that's on the head you claim to have lost, but you're so convinced of your headlessness that you can't see the absurdity. This is exactly, and I mean exactly, what every spiritual seeker is doing. You're using consciousness to look for consciousness. You're being aware while searching for awareness. The very fact that you can search at all proves you already have what you're looking for. But here's where it gets even more delightful. The moment I tell you this, what happens? Your mind says, so I should stop seeking. But that's just more seeking, isn't it? Now you're seeking, non-seeking. You've just added another layer to the game. It's like quicksand. The harder you struggle to get out, the deeper you sink. Every effort to solve the problem is the problem. Every attempt to wake up is precisely what keeps you asleep. And the cosmic joke? You can't just decide to stop, because deciding to stop is still doing something. You're trapped in a prison where every move toward the exit takes you further from the door. But wait, it gets worse. Or better, depending on your sense of humor. The you that wants to wake up, the you that's seeking enlightenment, that's the ego. And the ego can no more destroy itself than a fire can burn itself out by burning harder. It's like asking your right hand to cut itself off. Even if it could, what would do the cutting? So we arrive at the first great obstacle. You are seeking to become what you already are, using the very thing that prevents you from seeing what you already are. And you can't stop. Marvelous, isn't it? Let me share something rather shocking. You're an addict. Not to anything as mundane as alcohol or tobacco. You're addicted to something far more insidious, the future. You see, there's this peculiar disease that infects nearly every human being. I call it tomorrow-itis. The chronic condition of believing that fulfillment, enlightenment, happiness, whatever you want to call it, is always just around the next corner. When I finally meditate properly, after I've read enough spiritual books, once I find the right teacher, as soon as I have that breakthrough experience, always when, always after, always once, never now. But here's the thing about tomorrow, it's a place you can never visit. It's like the horizon. No matter how fast you run toward it, it retreats at exactly the same speed. Tomorrow is a mental construction, a fantasy, a carrot dangling forever out of reach. And we are so in love with this fantasy, we worship at the altar of becoming while completely ignoring the miracle of being. It's as if you're sitting in a magnificent garden, surrounded by the most extraordinary flowers, but you're too busy studying seed catalogs to notice. The spiritual marketplace knows this addiction well. It feeds it, nurtures it, profits from it. 10 steps to enlightenment, the 5 stages of awakening, advanced techniques for consciousness expansion. All of it based on the premise that you're not there yet, that you need to become something other than what you are, that this moment, right now, is somehow insufficient. But what if, and stick with me here, what if the whole idea of spiritual progress is the obstacle? What if the very notion that you need to get somewhere is what keeps you from recognizing where you are? Consider this. Have you ever noticed that all your problems are either memories or imaginings? When you're completely present, without referring to past or future, where is the problem? Where is the insufficiency? Where is the need to become? It vanishes. Poof! like a magician's trick revealed, but the mind can't stand this. No, no, it says, I really do need to improve. I really am not enlightened yet. And off you go again, chasing tomorrow's promise, abandoning today's reality. The addiction to becoming is so strong that even pointing it out doesn't break it. You'll hear this and think, yes, I need to stop being addicted to becoming. Do you see? Now you're trying to become someone who's not addicted to becoming. It's absolutely brilliant in its stupidity. Now, let me tell you about the most seductive trap of all, the search for someone who has made it to show you the way. It's perfectly reasonable, isn't it? If you want to learn pottery, you find a master potter. If you want to learn music, you find a musician. So naturally, if you want to wake up, you find someone who's awake. But here's where the whole thing goes magnificently wrong. Awakening isn't like pottery. It's not a skill you can learn by imitation. It's more like learning to be yourself, and who could possibly teach you that? The moment you start following someone else's footsteps, you're walking away from your own ground. I've watched this happen thousands of times. Someone meets a teacher who radiates presence, peace, wisdom. That's it, they think. That's what I want to be. And immediately, they begin the great game of spiritual dress-up. They start talking like their teacher, walking like their teacher. They adopt the same diet, the same practices, the same philosophical positions. They become a carbon copy, but a carbon copy of awakening is just sophisticated sleep. You see, every true teacher is a complete original. Buddha didn't become Buddha by trying to be like someone else. Jesus didn't become Christ by following another's path. They became themselves utterly, completely, unapologetically themselves. But we don't want to hear this. Being ourselves seems too ordinary, too simple, too unspiritual. We want the robes, the rituals, the secret teachings. We want someone to tell us exactly what to do, when to do it, how to breathe, what to think. And there's always someone willing to oblige. Follow my 7-step system. Repeat this mantra exactly as I do. Sit precisely in this posture, as if awakening were a recipe you could follow like baking a cake. The really clever gurus, and I've met quite a few, they know this game well. They'll tell you, don't follow me, find your own way. And their students nod sagely and then try to not follow in exactly the same way the guru not follows. It's hilarious. Here's the shocking truth. A real teacher is like a thief. They're trying to steal something from you, your crutches, your dependencies, your belief that you need them. But most students grip their crutches even tighter and beg for more. The guru trap is this: believing that enlightenment can be transmitted like a virus, caught like a cold, learned like arithmetic. But it can't, because what you're seeking isn't information or even transformation, it's recognition. Recognition of what's been there all along. And no one, absolutely no one, can recognize it for you. Oh, this one is my favorite. The ego is such a crafty little devil. Tell it that possessions won't bring happiness. And what does it do? It starts collecting spiritual experiences instead. I've met people who can tell you about their kundalini rising, their third eye opening, their out-of-body journeys, their past life memories. They wear their experiences like medals on a general's chest. I've had Satori 3 times. I studied with 12 different masters. I've been meditating for 27 years. But here's the delicious irony. They're more asleep than the businessman chasing his next million. At least he knows he's being materialistic. You see, spiritual materialism is materialism in drag. Instead of accumulating cars and houses, you accumulate insights and experiences. Instead of showing off your bank balance, you show off your consciousness credentials. Instead of designer clothes, you wear your spiritual sophistication. The ego hasn't disappeared, it's just gotten a makeover, a spiritual makeover. Now it's the spiritual ego. And it's even more insufferable than before. Watch what happens at any spiritual gathering. People comparing meditation techniques like they're comparing sports cars. Oh, you still do mindfulness? How quaint. I've moved on to non-dual awareness. It's the same old one-upmanship, just with Sanskrit terms. And the experiences, my God, the attachment to experiences. People clutching their peak moments like photographs, pulling them out to admire again and again. Remember when I felt oneness with everything, Well, where is it now? The truth is devastatingly simple. Any experience you can have, you can lose. Any state you can enter, you can exit. Any insight you can grasp, you can forget. If it comes and goes, it's not what you're looking for. But we are so addicted to the fireworks. We want the bells and whistles, the cosmic light shows, the overwhelming bliss. And when we get them, we want more, always more. I knew a man who spent 40 years chasing higher and higher states. He could induce ecstasy at will, see colors beyond the spectrum, hear the music of the spheres. And you know what? He was miserable, because no experience was ever enough. He was like a drug addict, except his drug was consciousness itself. The great joke? While you're busy collecting these spiritual tchotchkes, you're missing the most profound experience of all, the simple, ordinary, miraculous fact of being. Right here, right now. No bells, no whistles, just this. But just this doesn't sell seminars, does it? Now we come to the most exhausting battle ever fought, the war against your own shadow. And what a magnificent war it is. Spiritual warriors everywhere, armed with affirmations and positive thinking, determined to vanquish every trace of darkness within. But I have news for you, rather disturbing news. You can't have light without shadow. It's like trying to have a mountain without a valley, a wave without a trough. They define each other. They need each other. They are each other. Yet here we are, generation after generation, trying to become pure light. I must eliminate all negative thoughts. I must overcome all fear. I must transcend anger, jealousy, hatred, as if you could have a coin with only one side. Let me tell you what happens when you declare war on your darkness. It goes underground. It becomes guerrilla warfare. Your shadow doesn't disappear, it just gets sneakier. I've watched the most spiritual people, the ones who've supposedly conquered all negativity, and they're often the most passive-aggressive beings you'll ever meet. Their repressed anger leaks out as compassionate criticism. Their denied fear manifests as loving concern. Their hidden hatred becomes righteous indignation. The shadow always wins, always, because the shadow is just you in disguise. Here's what nobody tells you. Your demons are your angels in disguise. Your weakness is your strength turned inside out. Your darkness is your light casting a shadow. They're not enemies to be conquered, they're dance partners waiting to be recognized. But we're so terrified of our own depths. If people knew what I really thought, what I really felt. So we put on the mask of spirituality, pretending we're beyond such base emotions. We become spiritual mannequins, perfect on the outside, empty on the inside. The Zen masters knew better. They'd tell their students, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. Shocking, sacrilegious, but they understood even your highest spiritual ideals can become prisons. You want to know the secret of integration? Stop fighting. Just stop. When anger arises, let it be angry. When fear comes, let it be afraid. When jealousy visits, invite it in for tea. But won't I become a terrible person? That's the fear talking. The truth is, when you stop fighting your darkness, something miraculous happens. It transforms. Not because you forced it to, but because you finally allowed it to be. It's like a child throwing a tantrum. Fight it, and it gets worse. Accept it completely, and it exhausts itself. Your shadows are just lost children wanting to come home. But no, we'd rather have our civil war. We'd rather split ourselves in two, the good me and the bad me, the spiritual me and the ego me. And in this division, we lose the very wholeness we seek. The fourth obstacle isn't your darkness, it's your belief that darkness is an obstacle. Let me destroy your favorite fantasy. You know the one, that beautiful image of enlightenment you carry around like a secret treasure. The permanent state of bliss, the end of all suffering, the cosmic consciousness that never wavers, the arrival at the promised land, where all questions are answered and all seeking ends. What a magnificent carrot to dangle in front of a donkey. You see, we've turned enlightenment into the ultimate product, the final acquisition, the PhD of consciousness. Once you have it, you're set for life. No more problems, no more doubts, no more ordinary human messiness. You'll float through life in a bubble of perpetual wisdom and compassion. But here's what's so wonderfully absurd about this fantasy. It's based on a complete misunderstanding of what awakening actually is. Enlightenment isn't a thing you get. It's not a state you enter. It's not a prize you win. It's more like, well, imagine you've been wearing tinted glasses your whole life, and suddenly you realize you can take them off. The world doesn't change, your seeing changes. But we don't want to hear this. We want the Hollywood version, the dramatic transformation, the before and after. We want to be special, different, elevated above the common herd. So we create this mirage, this perfect future state where we'll finally be somebody, the enlightened one, the awakened one, the one who knows. And this mirage keeps us walking through the desert of seeking, always thirsty, always almost there. I'll tell you something shocking. Every enlightened person I've ever met still gets hungry. They still need to use the bathroom. They still feel pain when they stub their toe. Some of them even get irritated in traffic. The horror. Because awakening doesn't make you superhuman, it makes you fully human. And fully human includes everything, the sublime and the ridiculous, the sacred and the mundane. The real joke? While you're busy chasing this fantasy of permanent transcendence, you're missing the intermittent glimpses of freedom that are already happening. Every night when you fall into deep sleep, the ego disappears completely. Every moment of genuine laughter, the self is forgotten. Every time you're fully absorbed in something you love, seeking stops. But no, those don't count. Those are just ordinary moments. You want the extraordinary. You want the certificate of enlightenment, signed and stamped. The fifth obstacle is the belief that there's somewhere to get to, some final destination where the journey ends. But consciousness isn't a destination, it's what's making the journey. You can't arrive at where you've always been, and that's precisely what we cannot accept. Now we're getting to the real meat of the matter. The subtle torture chamber we build with our own high standards. You know what I'm talking about. That voice that whispers, you're not quite ready yet. I need to purify myself more. I haven't meditated long enough. I still have too many attachments. My mind isn't quiet enough. I haven't suffered enough. Or my personal favorite, I'm not worthy yet. What a brilliant prison. And the beauty of it is, you're both the prisoner and the guard. You set the standards impossibly high, then beat yourself up for not meeting them. It's a perfect, self-perpetuating system of spiritual masochism. Let me tell you a secret about perfection. It's the ego's last stand. When it can't keep you asleep through ordinary distractions, it pulls out the big guns. Spiritual perfectionism. Now, you're not just trying to be good, you're trying to be perfectly enlightened. I once knew a monk who spent 30 years preparing to be ready for enlightenment. 30 years. Every day, he'd find new imperfections to work on. His posture wasn't quite right. His breathing wasn't deep enough. His thoughts weren't pure enough. He died still preparing. The cosmic joke? Enlightenment doesn't require perfection. It requires the opposite. It requires the humility to be exactly as flawed as you are, the courage to be magnificently imperfect, the wisdom to know that the cracks are where the light gets in. But we've been sold this image of the spiritual person, always calm, always compassionate, always wise, never angry, never petty, never human. It's like trying to be a marble statue instead of a living, breathing, messy human being. You want to know what real awakening looks like? It's not the perfection of the person, it's the perfection of acceptance. Total, complete, unconditional acceptance of what is, including all your beautiful imperfections. But the perfectionist mind can't stand this. Accept my flaws? Never. I must transcend them. And round we go, like a dog chasing its tail, convinced that if we just run a little faster, we'll finally catch it. Here's the paradox that breaks the whole game open. You're already perfect in your imperfection. A wave doesn't need to improve itself to be the ocean. It already is the ocean, expressing itself as a wave. Your flaws, your struggles, your failures, they're not obstacles to enlightenment. They're enlightenment expressing itself as a human story. But no, that's too simple, too ordinary. Surely there must be more to it. Surely we must earn it through perfect discipline, perfect understanding, perfect surrender. The sixth obstacle is the belief that you need to be different than you are, better than you are, more spiritual than you are. It's the ultimate procrastination technique. I'll be ready tomorrow when I'm finally perfect. But tomorrow never comes, does it? Because perfection is a moving target, always just out of reach. And now we arrive at the final guardian at the gate, the most terrifying demon of all. Not the fear of death, not the fear of suffering, not even the fear of meaninglessness. No, this one is far worse, the fear of being nobody special. Oh, how the ego recoils at this possibility. You mean, after all this seeking, all this spiritual work, all this consciousness expansion, I'll just be ordinary? Yes, beautifully, magnificently, perfectly ordinary. But we can't bear it. We've invested so much in being special. The special one who's seeking, the special one who's more conscious, the special one who's on a spiritual path while others sleepwalk through life. We're the heroes of our own spiritual drama. And what does awakening threaten to do? It threatens to end the drama, to close the show, to reveal that you're not the star, you're not even a bit player, you're the stage itself. And stages don't get applause. This is why so many people get close to awakening and then run like hell. They peek behind the curtain, see the vast ordinariness of it all, and slam the door shut. No, thank you. I'll keep my spiritual specialness. I've seen it happen countless times. People have profound realizations, genuine openings, real glimpses of truth. And then what? They immediately turn it into another badge of specialness. I'm the one who had the mystical experience. I'm the one who saw through the illusion. The ego co-opts everything. But here's what's so delicious about this fear. It's actually the last thread holding the whole illusion together. Because who is it that's afraid of being ordinary? The ego. And what is the ego? Nothing but the thought that you're special. It's like a knot that unties itself when you pull the right thread. The fear of being nobody special can only exist if you think you're somebody special. But if you're nobody special, then there's nobody there to be afraid. The cosmic humor of it all. We spend our lives trying to be somebody, and awakening reveals we're nobody. But not nobody as in worthless, nobody as in no body, no separate self, no isolated individual, just consciousness itself, playing at being human. And what could be more ordinary than that? And what could be more extraordinary? You see, true ordinariness isn't boring, it's miraculous. When you stop trying to be special, everything becomes special. When you stop seeking the extraordinary, you discover that ordinary life is extraordinarily alive. Every breath, every step, every moment soaked in mystery. But the ego says, that's not enough. I want to be the one, the awakened one, the teacher, the master. It wants to trade its ordinary specialness for spiritual specialness. Same prison, fancier bars. The seventh obstacle is the last desperate grab for identity. The final, but what about me? And when even this falls away, when you finally accept your cosmic ordinariness, something extraordinary happens. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that nothing is everything. So here you are. You've tried everything. Meditation, yoga, therapy, plant medicine, energy work, silent retreats. You've read every book, followed every teacher, practiced every technique. You've fought your demons and chased your angels. You've sought perfection and embraced imperfection. You've done it all. And where has it gotten you? Right here. Still seeking. Still not there. Still you. This is the moment I've been waiting to talk about. The beautiful, terrible, absolutely necessary moment when the whole spiritual project collapses. When you finally give up. Not give up as in become cynical or depressed. Not give up as in stop caring, but give up as in surrender. Complete, absolute, unconditional surrender to what is. You see, every spiritual effort is still based on the premise that something's wrong, that you need to get somewhere, that you need to become someone. Even the effort to stop making efforts is an effort. It's all so beautifully futile. But when you've exhausted every option, when you've tried every door and found them all locked, when you've climbed every mountain and found no promised land at the top, something miraculous happens. You stop, not because you've decided to stop, not because stopping is the next strategy, but because there's literally nothing left to do. The seeker collapses from exhaustion. The spiritual ego waves the white flag. Game over. And in that defeat, oh, what a sweet defeat it is. In that total failure of the spiritual project, something notices. Something that's been here all along, watching the whole drama with infinite patience and amusement. What notices? That which has never sought because it was never lost. that which has never struggled because it was never bound, that which has never feared because it cannot die, that which you are. The great collapse isn't a tragedy, it's grace. It's the universe's way of saying, are you done yet? Can we stop playing this game? But here's the thing, you can't make the collapse happen. You can't engineer your own defeat. You can't surrender as a strategy, because that's just more doing, more seeking, more cleverness. The collapse happens when it happens. When you've suffered enough, when you've sought enough, when you've pretended enough, when the whole charade becomes so exhausting that you simply can't maintain it for one more second. And then, and this is the most wonderful joke of all, you discover that the collapse isn't the end of the path, it's the recognition that there never was a path. There never was a seeker. There never was anywhere to go. You've been home all along, Dorothy. You just had to exhaust yourself clicking those ruby slippers. Some people call this the dark night of the soul. I call it the dawn of sanity, when all your spiritual props are kicked away and you're left with nothing but what is. No hope, no fear, no future, no past. Just this. And just this is revealed to be infinite. And so we arrive at the end that's not an end. The conclusion that concludes nothing. The final revelation that reveals what was always obvious. You want to hear the punchline to this whole cosmic joke? Lean in close. Ready? You've been desperately searching for the room you're sitting in. That's it. That's the whole thing. You've been like a fish searching for water, a bird searching for sky, an eye searching for sight. The very fact that you can search at all proves you've already found what you're looking for. But we're so hypnotized by the search. We're so in love with the drama of the journey. We've convinced ourselves that awareness must be something exotic, something distant, something we need to attain. Meanwhile, awareness is reading these words right now. Awareness is hearing these thoughts. Awareness is being confused or excited or skeptical. Awareness is what you are, not what you have. It's like spending your whole life looking for your glasses while they're on your face, and everyone you meet is also looking for their glasses while wearing them. And you all commiserate about how hard it is to find glasses, and you share techniques for finding glasses, and you argue about the best way to search for glasses, until one day someone laughs and points at your face, and you touch your nose and feel the glasses. They've been there all along, through every moment of the search. This is why the Zen masters laugh so much. This is why the Buddha smiled when he woke up. Not because he'd found something, but because he realized the absurdity of the search. What he was looking for was doing the looking. So where does this leave you? Right where you started, but with a difference. Now you know where you are. Now you recognize what you've always been. The search is over, not because you found what you were looking for, but because you've realized you are what you were looking for. Does this mean you'll never seek again? Never struggle? Never forget? Of course not. The game goes on. But now you're in on the joke. Now you play with a wink and a smile. You might still meditate not to get somewhere, but to celebrate where you are. You might still learn not to become wise, but to enjoy the play of wisdom. You might still grow not to reach perfection, but to dance with life. The 7 obstacles, they were never obstacles. They were the curriculum, each one designed to exhaust a different strategy of the ego, each one a necessary chapter in the story of coming home. And here's the final secret: everyone survives. Everyone makes it home, because everyone already is home. Some just take the long way round, some take the scenic route, some insist on exploring every dead end. But in the end, which is also the beginning, which is also right now, there's only one thing to discover. What you are has never been lost. What you are cannot be attained. What you are is reading these words, thinking these thoughts, feeling these feelings. What you are is the simplest thing in the universe and the most profound. Welcome home. You never left. So what now? What do you do with all this? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Or everything. It doesn't matter. You see, this isn't a teaching you need to practice. It's not a philosophy you need to adopt. It's not even a truth you need to believe. It's simply an invitation to notice what's always been here. Stop for a moment, right now, before you rush off to the next thing, before your mind starts analyzing and categorizing and filing all this away. Just stop. What's here? Before you think about it, before you name it, before you judge it, what's simply obviously, undeniably here. This aware presence that you are. It doesn't need your belief. It doesn't need your understanding. It doesn't need your approval. It simply is, like space itself, holding everything touched by nothing. The obstacles we've explored, they'll probably show up again. The ego is remarkably persistent. But now you've seen the game. Now you know the joke. And that changes everything. Or it changes nothing. And that's perfect too. Life goes on. The dance continues. But perhaps, just perhaps, with a little more lightness, a little more play, a little more wonder at the magnificent absurdity of it all. After all, what else is there to do? We're all just consciousness playing hide and seek with itself. And you've just been found.